are you? Steve Gonzer, making sure I'm in frame here. I want to go over something. So I've been treating patients all morning here at Buffalo Rehab Group, and this is something that a lot of runners run into when they're trying to get over things. And I know this is going to be important for you too, because I tell people all the time, you're all the same, and this should be helpful. So runners coming in, by the way, if you want some more help with this, I have this whole seminar set up. It's called the Injury Management Blueprint or Injury Management Protocol. I put a link in the post of this live that you can actually go and sign up and get access to that for $1 for a 2-week trial. But what I want to talk about is something that a lot of runners do wrong in their injury rehab or self-treatment recovery that ends up causing a lot of problems. So this is exactly the same conversation I just had this morning. So I'm going to give it to you guys. I actually had this conversation twice. What happened with a runner coming in, they are trying to self-treat. They've been doing this for about 4 weeks. And what they ended up doing is they started off with running X amount of miles, right? And then they were like, man, I'm just getting sore. So they went to every other day and they were still getting sore. So they went to every other day, but they cut down their mileage. So instead of running, say, 5 or 6 miles a week, they're down to 3 every other day. And then they started realizing, man, every other day was okay, but now it's taking me 2 days to recover. And essentially their running went like this. They had, nice, good, peak in running, and then they just started going downhill and running less and less and less miles. And essentially what you're doing at that point is you're just hanging on for dear life, just hoping that things are going to be okay. And I actually tested this out with a couple people who sent me an email that they were injured and got them on this 2-week turnaround plan that I cover in the Injury Management Blueprint. And it worked for them. It worked for me too, because if you don't remember, a little while ago, I tore my quad and I'm back to running around 10 miles yesterday. So things are good for me. The key thing with injuries is not doing what I'm about to explain here. Every injury is going to have an injury or an injury tolerance. We'll just call it IT. So injury threshold, let's say. Anything above this line is going to cause your injury to get worse. And anything below this line is going to not really affect it at all. So this is for the runners who are like, yeah, I can do everything but run, or like every time I go off a run, it just keeps hurting and I'm running less and less and less mileage. This is going to help you. If you want the full plan, again, check the link out in this post. But this was the 2 runners did this morning, is they knew like they could run about 3 miles. And that was the point when it starts to get sore after 3. So what did they do? So let's say this is a 3-mile line. This line represents 3 miles. Every day they went out, they would go just above that line. Anything above this line irritates the injury. Anything below this line makes it feel, or doesn't touch it. So they would go out and they would just go right above it. This is the runner who's going down the road and it's starting to feel it. It's starting to hurt a little bit. I probably should stop. I'm going to stop. And they get to that point. And they did this consistently for 4 weeks. They had to go less and less mileage. But essentially, if you keep doing this, every time you puncture above that line, you cause irritation, you cause inflammation, you cause the injury to break down and get worse. Most running injuries, and you probably experienced this, are degradation over time. They're degenerative. They're injuries that don't just come on overnight. The tricky thing with running injuries is they let you run on them for a certain period of time, but the whole time you continue to run on them, they continue to get worse until you have this thing like, why is it taking so long to heal? Well, because you ran on it for 4 to 6 months and now it's all a mess in there and it's all torn up. So what happens with this type of running, where you keep on going out and you stop when it starts to get irritated, is that it usually allows this injury threshold to start trending downwards. And that's what you see. So maybe you could run 5 miles every other day, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, at 3 miles it's getting aggravated. Oh, at 1 mile, now it's getting aggravated. Now I can't even run because you're trending this line downwards. Here's my secret for you that a lot of people don't do, and it's super self-explanatory when you think about it, is don't run until it hurts. And this can be tough for a lot of people, but if you're already struggling and you're running less and less miles, this will make sense. Here's your injury threshold. Your goal when you're trying to get over an injury is to stop before you hurt. Sounds pretty normal, right? It's tougher to do, but you want to finish your run being like, I could have done more. So if you take that same runner, and a lot of people are like, if I have to put all my stuff on, I'm at least going for 3 miles. Well, you have to get out of that mindset, because it's just not going to let you heal. It's not going to let you get over an injury. So here's what I recommend. Let's say this line is still at 3 miles. What you want to do is you want to get right to the point before that. It could be 1 mile, it could be 2.75. You want to get right below that threshold. After you fail your first run, everything after 3 hurts, or anything after X hurts. just stop right before that, about 25%. And what'll happen is you'll get to the point of threshold, like the tissue's just about to start breaking down, and then you pull the load away. And what happens is the body comes in, heals everything up, solidifies it so it's nice and strong, so that the next time that you go out, this line will start trending upwards. And then you can start running more and more. You can't function up in this gray zone. So many runners are doing that. I talked about 2 runners this morning. I can tell you I have the conversation, I don't know, like 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week, just on this conversation alone, depending how people are trying to self-treat. So don't do this. I'm gonna actually talk a little bit later about another conversation I had. I'll probably do that later tonight. But if you want help with just injuries in general, you want help on just getting some structure, it's not formal treatment, but some of my tips and tricks and plans to get you back on the road, check out the Injury Management Blueprint. You get access to it for $1 with our 2-week trial. It's in the link is in this post. Hopefully this helps you guys. Please don't keep running until your injury's hurt, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye. I can't see any questions, so there's a lot of questions. Bye, guys.